Hello everyone, I'm Regina Bale from Florida Gulf Coast University's The Water School. I'm the Environmental Education Coordinator and I work for the Center for Environment and Society. And today in this video series, once again, we're going to be learning about Survey 123 on ArcGIS Online and how this survey tool will work as a data collection tool for you and your students as they work on a specific science lesson. So let's get started with specifically looking at Survey 123 and its data and analysis functions. So as a reminder, Survey 123 is a very easy to build data collection tool. It's about as simple as a Microsoft or Google form. You can make them very specific to a particular lesson or activity or event, or they could be an evergreen survey that can just last for years to come, and new students every year can add data to it. You can share them and develop them together. You can always edit the work, and that this data that you are getting through Survey 123 can immediately be used as a feature layer on maps and dashboards and other things within all of the app suite in ArcGIS Online. So setting up your survey for success and being able to get some clean, really useful data from it is going to help you get started right away with using the next set of tools in the next videos. So to get started, when you log into ArcGIS Online, you're going to see the waffle icon, which is the app launcher. Click on the waffle icon to see all of the applications that you have access to. Each application is represented with an icon that has a different color, a symbol, and it has the name of the application written below it. So Survey 123 is a green icon that looks like a spiral notebook with a check mark. Please click on the Survey 123 icon to launch the application. In Survey 123, you will see tiles showing all of the surveys that you have made or that your organization has made. So this is where you're going to find the tile of the survey that has the data you want to review. So for this example, and from this video series, I was working on the FGCU K12 pH water quality survey. So I am going to use that one that's at the top of my surveys section in Survey 123. So each Survey 123 tile has icons across the bottom. The icon on the far right that looks like a square with lines across it forming a list, that is the data icon. When you hover over your cursor over this icon, the label will pop up that says data. So if you're ever not sure, just hover your cursor over those icons. Click on this icon will immediately take you to the data section of your survey. Note, there must be some recorded surveys in there so that there is data to look at. The data and analyze sections have no information if there are no records. So if you look on your screen, my tile shows that there are 3 records for this survey. So there is data to look at. So now let's click on the data icon. Right now there is a blue arrow pointing at that icon. So your survey will look a little bit different than mine, but this is an example of what you can see on my FGCU K12 pH water quality survey. So on the screen, each individual survey record will be listed at the bottom with information that the user input. For this survey, it was pretty simple. They only had to do location, date, time, and the pH of the water sample. So it's a pretty small list. There was also only 3 recorded survey data points, so their list is pretty short. Each survey record has a location that is represented by red dots on a map. So for this example, there are 3 survey records, which means there are also 3 dots on the map that are pointed out by these blue arrows. If you click on one of the dots on the map, it will highlight the dot from red to blue. And it will show all of the information related to this survey record on the right side with a little pop-up. The same will happen if you click on the records in the list. It will then highlight the dot that goes with that record blue, and on the right side there'll be a pop-up with all the information from that record. So on your screen right now is an example of what that pop-up on the right side will look like when you click on one of those dots or one of the survey entries on the list. To edit or delete any data, once you click on that survey record, in this pop-up, you'll be able to do that. Across the top, there is a pencil icon, which will allow you to edit, and there is a trash can icon that will allow you to throw out this entire record. So you'll be able to edit the data which was input. So in this one, the example is the date and time, the location, and the pH of the water sample. When you're done viewing or making any changes, you'll just click on the X in this box to leave this view of the individual survey record data and then go back to the previous screen. Each Survey 123 tile has icons across the bottom. The icon that looks like a bar graph is the Analyze icon. When you hover your cursor over that icon, the label will pop up and say Analyze. Clicking on this icon immediately takes you to the Analyze section of the survey. Note, there has to be records in this survey. So just like before with the data icon, this survey has 3 records, so there is data to look at and analyze. If there are no records for this survey, you'll go to the Analyze screen, but there'll be nothing there. So now, hover your cursor over the Analyze icon and click on that icon to get started. The Analyze section of Survey 123 takes the data collected in each of the survey records and develops relevant charts and graphs with that data. This function can save you time in presenting the data visually and help facilitate observing patterns within the data. So if you go out into the field, collect some water quality samples, and come back to the classroom, you can immediately open up the Analyze section and see graphs that are already developed in real time, as opposed to going in and making your own graphs that you might present a day later. Example Survey 123 only has 3 records, and the survey itself only has 3 questions. So there's not much to look at within this example, but with the more data that is collected, this tool becomes very useful. And it also helps me find outlier data that might need to be edited or deleted from the survey records. For example, I had a survey with temperature that was in degrees Celsius, and I saw the average temperature was higher than it would make any sense for an outdoor classroom. We were only measuring the ambient temperature outside. This made me focus on the data and look to find that a few students input numbers for degrees Fahrenheit, which threw things off a lot. So a few students actually put in 80 degrees for Fahrenheit instead of about 27 degrees Celsius, which changed the average a lot. What I was able to do is just edit those specific ones to change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius, do the conversion real quick, and then the data came back to not have those errors, and I could still use those data points. Sometimes there's too many errors in it, it's not worth the time, that you just end up deleting those records. So it really depends on you, how large your class is, how many surveys have been collected, and what data you're looking for. So what to think about with Survey 123 data and how to use the data and analyze sections. You definitely want to periodically check the data that users are submitting. Whether you have multiple class periods in a day or you're working on a survey over the course of several months, you want to pop in, and after you know that students have been collecting data, look at it. You'll notice some interesting patterns. There's things that you might need to change or fix. Data with errors can be edited or deleted, which is really important. If they're slowly coming in and you can adjust one at a time, not so bad. But if you wait until after, all 130 students submit something, it's going to be the easiest to just delete anything that doesn't fit the norm. The data from the survey will also become a feature layer. So really important, the way you design and set up your survey, the way you clean up the data after people have input records is important, because on these ArcGIS applications that you use, this data can be fed directly into those other applications like Map Viewer, Dashboard, Survey 123. By being very careful with your Survey 123 data and making sure that students know how to input things correctly and that you can edit as you go, you're going to have a much easier time using other applications as well. Remember, you can also share this data with your class immediately by using the data and analyze sections of Survey 123. So you can more formally use Dashboard and other things as you move forward. But if you want to see immediately how does, period 3's class and their data collection compare to periods 1 and 2, you could immediately open up the Analyze section and you could see the changes in the data. So a lot of useful tools just in Survey 123. So today we learned how to make a Survey 123 in ArcGIS Online, that this survey will work as a data collection tool for you and your students. And it can work for a specific science lesson, which is very exciting that now you understand the data components, what data that you're going to be getting, how you can see it in Survey 123, make any edits or deletions necessary, and using that analyze function so you could see in real time these graphs and charts develop of all the data that is collected. We're so glad that you were watching with us, and I hope you have a fabulous time working on Survey 123. The next set of videos are going to take us to the use of Web Viewer and eventually Dashboard. Thanks for watching.